tuned in to the 411 for your fantasy football with your host, Autumn Wind Williams.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Autumn Wind Williams, and you're now tuned in to the 411 for your fantasy football week 3 regular season for 2018. We're setting up them DFS lineups. Tomorrow's game day, guys. We got to get in those green lines and make that money. I'm going to give you 3 quarterbacks, 3 running backs, 3 wide receivers, and 3 tight ends. And I'm throwing in 3 defenses for you to make a decision on if you want to lock them in your lineups like I am. So let's start it off with this 13-game slate right now. First, we got the big high implied total. This is the game of the week to me because I think this is going to be a shootout. Patrick Mahomes from the Kansas City Chiefs versus San Francisco 49ers. On Draftkings, Mahomes is $7,000. On Fanduel, he's $8,900. Patrick Mahomes, he got 326 yards with 6 touchdowns and no interceptions last week against the Steelers. Now, that was a high implied total, too. And he went out there and ripped it, man. He ripped it. They beat the Steelers 42-37. And I feel like he can have that type of game again. But I think, you know, he might get a little bit more as far as passing yards, maybe 400 yards. That's going to be a hot take of mine because he's heading to Kansas City, first home game in Kansas City. I know he got to be pumped up. He got weapons on offense. The defense is horrible, but the weapons on offense is unbelievable for the Kansas City Chiefs this year. I feel like Patrick Mahomes got all that he needs on the field to go out there and really make a high-scoring game and give us a lot of fantasy points. So, on the other side, since this is a high implied total, big game of the week, I'm going for Jimmy Garoppolo also from the San Francisco 49ers versus the Kansas City Chiefs. On DraftKings, he's $6,500. Fanduel, he's $7,400. Last week, he didn't have that great of a game. He's working with what he got. Marquise Goodwin might be coming back for tomorrow's game. He still got Pettis out there. He got Kittle, who I'm hoping have some type of bounce back because last weekend he sucked. He absolutely sucked, man. He was chalk and he screwed everybody's chalk up. Big time, man. But Jimmy Garoppolo, he got 206 yards, 2 touchdowns, completed 18 for 26 passes against the Lions last week. So I'm hoping he make a big bounce back and make me some money, man. Just make me some money. Moving on, we got Kirk Cousins from the Minnesota Vikings versus the Buffalo Bills. Now I'm projecting this to be a blowout game. I know when guys hear blowout games, they kind of want to shy away from the quarterback because they feel like the running back is going to be getting way too much usage. But in order for it to be a blowout a lot of times, you have to have a quarterback that's efficient, that's going to throw a lot of touchdowns down the field. And I feel like Kirk Cousins can do that. He can move his legs. Last week, he got 35 for 48 passes with 425 yards, 4 touchdowns. He did throw 1 interception, but, he did pretty good against the Packers. He rushed 2 times for 5 yards. That ain't nothing. But this week, he's, $6,800 on DraftKings, $8,600 on Fanduel. I feel like he's worth the money. And I got another hot take for you. Kirk Cousins get a rushing touchdown. How about that? All right, moving on to running back. I have the very chalky Jordan Howard of the Chicago Bears versus the Arizona Cardinals. Everybody know, and they mama know, this year Arizona Cardinals are so horrible on offense and defense. So I want to take advantage of it, especially after I'm hearing that Chicago Bears want to utilize their running back, Jordan Howard, a lot more, especially now that he's catching the ball this year. Last week he rushed for 14 times and only got 35 yards, but he caught 3 of 4 targets for 33 yards. He didn't get a touchdown. I was watching that game. I thought he was going to at least get 1 touchdown in that Monday nighter against the Seahawks, who they just destroyed. Well, on paper, it don't look like they destroyed, but I feel like they could have really destroyed them on defense. Jordan Howard, he looked very well on the field, but just didn't put up the points that I expected him to put up. But I feel like, at 6,500 on Draftkings, 7,400 on Fanduel, he can go out there and give me my money's worth and score at least 1 touchdown, maybe 100 yards versus the Arizona Cardinals. I mean, man, just get out there and do your damn thing, Jordan Howard. All right, back to that big game of the week. Kansas City Chiefs versus the San Francisco 49ers. I got Matt Breida. I know a lot of people got Matt Breida too, because he's looking good on the field, man. Last week he got 11 carries for 138 yards, and he also got a touchdown against the Lions, and he caught 3 of 4 targets with additional 21 yards. So Matt Breida, it's obvious he's going to be the one getting the ball. Everybody thought Morris was going to be the guy, but Morris can't catch. I mean, he might be in there at goal line maybe to vulture some touchdowns. He might get some carries here and there, but I feel like they are going to rely on Matt Breida, especially if I feel like the 49ers are going to be playing from behind. And when Garoppolo is working with the weapons that he got, which is not much, Breida is one of those weapons that he can dump off passes, especially during garbage time when the defense is playing prevent. That's a good way for the 49ers to try to rush down the field. Everybody knows they love to kick field goals, so they might try to rush down the field before halftime or something and use Matt Breida with dump off passes just to kick a field goal before halftime and do the same before the end of the game. So I feel like he can go out there and match what he did or even close this week, since this is supposed to be a high scoring game. But anyway, moving on to my next running back. This guy's going to definitely be chalk after the news yesterday. Everybody expected this to happen. I have Latavius Murray from the Minnesota Vikings versus Buffalo Bills. He's 5,800 on DraftKings, and 5,800 on DraftKings, and on FanDuel he's 5,200. And yesterday, Dalvin Cook was ruled out because of a hamstring, but we knew early in the week this was a possibility, and it looked so juicy for us. Because we know how horrible Buffalo Bills is. It's projected to be a blowout. And how you guys think, the quarterback, he's not going to get that much yards if it's a blowout. They're going to run the ball. All right, take your chances on Latavius then. If you think Kirk Cousins not going to do that much, then you should be riding with Latavius Murray. Either way, really. Because he's going to get a lot of touches, especially if they do blow him out. And that fourth quarter, he's going to be running a lot more. They might try to bring in Mike Boone, but Mike Boone right now he's on an injury report as of yesterday with a groin. And they don't have much else in the backfield for them to work with. So I can see Latavius Murray being a workhorse all Sunday long. So I'm definitely going to put him in my lineups. So, you guys see how, one of my new techniques is focus on a lot more fewer games when it's a high game slate. You got 13 game slate, but, I just want to interrupt all this right here for a minute so y'all can see what I'm trying to do is when you got 13 game slate, you can't play everybody. So you got to focus on games that you feel like are going to have players that make a high impact. And as you notice, I'm playing Niners, Chiefs, Vikings, Bears, you know, but you guys get what I'm saying. It's like a flow right there that try to construct all these guys in the lineups together or often paired up or stacked. That's what I'm trying to do, so I'm not floating around doing little pick and chooses here and there and end up screwing my lineup and it just look like a gumbo pot. We don't want our lineup to look like it's a Pro Bowl lineup with just guys from several different teams that don't correlate in no kind of way. And then you wind up with just 90 points and score nothing. Take home nothing. So, you know, pay attention to that when you're building your lineups too. You just don't want to pick any guys just because they're like the hometown favorite, your favorite team. Like one thing when you play Draftkings and Fanduel, you got to come in with a state of mind about you got to pick the guys who's out there to win you money. Just like a football team, they pick guys to be on their roster that's going to win them the Super Bowl or try to win them the Super Bowl. And that's a state of mind you got to go in and have, because you playing as a GM, a coach, when you build your lineups. But back to the show. All right. So moving on to wide receivers, we have Nelson Agholor from the Philadelphia Phillies versus the Indianapolis Colts. Yeah, I said it's going to be a rain game, but I'm not threatened by that. We got Carson Wentz coming back. We know Carson Wentz likes to throw the ball a lot. We know they're short at running back. They lost Sproles. They lost Ajayi. Clement was in, projected to be the starter this week, and now he's injured. Now it looks like they're going to have Wendell Smallwood and some other guy. They're going to be throwing the ball, man, regardless if it's rain or not. So right now, Nelson Agholor is looked at as the number one wide receiver for the Philadelphia Eagles now that Alshon Jeffries is still out. Well, he's questionable right now, but I don't think he's coming back tomorrow. But anyway, even if he does, he might be used as a decoy for Nelson Agholor or Ertz or something. You know, I don't think he's gonna get out there and probably score you 2 or 3 fantasy points. So no impact on on the game. So Nelson Agholor with Alshon Jeffries being week to week with a shoulder. Mike Wallace got injured last week. A lot of guys thought he was going to do really good last week. I did too. I had him in some lineups. And I look at my phone. I get an alert saying, you got a fractured fibula. I'm like, okay, that's cool. Thank you very much. But, I was feeling salty about that. But, I hope we get better. I don't wish nothing on nobody bad. I hate when players get injured, actually, even though you get those choppy plays. But, you can't do that. You wish harm, you get harm. But anyway, I'm thinking about playing Nelson Agholor, like I said, versus the Indianapolis Colts. 6,100 on Draftkings. On Fanduel, he's $6,660. So decent price right there for both sides, based on his ability. Next guy I got, cheap one, Dante Moncrief from the Jacksonville Jaguars versus the Tennessee Titans. Now, on DraftKings especially, you might want to play him because he's only 3,800. On DraftKings, only 3,800. And FanDuel, he's, 5,400. Last week he caught 4 of 9 targets, which is not that good for 34 yards, but he got a touchdown on the win against New England. So he did a little something, and I'm willing to take a chance, at least on DraftKings when he's 3,800. If you can get, 10, 11 fantasy points for 3,800, it's worth it. It's worth it. It's cheap buy. You never know. You might go out there and score 2 touchdowns when nobody even think you would. But moving on to my next wide receiver, I have Michael Thomas of the New Orleans Saints versus the Atlanta Falcons. On Draftkings, he's 8,900. Fanduel, he's $9,000. And he got 12 for 13 targets, 89 yards, 2 touchdowns. Gave him a 2-piece last week. That's right. Over the Browns. Yeah, he fumbled once, but he got 2 touchdowns on the Browns last week. And Michael Thomas just been hot, man. Let's pull up his numbers on DraftKings. Let me see. I gotta let y'all see what he put up the last 2 weeks, or let y'all hear what he put up the last 2 weeks. This guy has been playing off the chain. That's why he's the highest priced wide receiver this week. Last week he got 31.9 fantasy points on DraftKings. First week he got 42. Whew. Michael Thomas, you safe in my lineups, bro. You are safe. You locked for sure.
Before you hit that lock button, there is something you need to know.
Yes, Michael Thomas is safe, but this guy ain't. Who am I talking about? Demaryius Thomas. He is not safe in my lineups, man. I feel like Demaryius Thomas is not going to go out there and get much against the Baltimore Ravens defense. You know, we got this week the Denver Broncos. They are facing the Baltimore Ravens defense. And I feel like, you know, even though Demaryius Thomas has been having fairly decent season so far, they're going to lay the smack down. So it might be a smart decision to go after Sutton or Sanders, because I don't think on Demaryius Thomas' side you're going to get much. And another one right here, something you need to know before you hit that lock button. Do not play Amari Cooper. Yeah, last week Amari Cooper did good. What did Amari Cooper put up last week from the Oakland Raiders? Yeah, he caught all 10 targets. How often you say that Amari Cooper caught all 10 targets and got 116 yards? Not since at least his rookie season he did something similar to that. But I don't expect Amari Cooper to go out there and get much either. And, you know, it's been mentioned that Xavier Howard of the Miami Dolphins planning on shadowing Amari Cooper. So before you hit that lock button, it's something you need to know. Don't play Demaryius Thomas and don't play Amari Cooper. But if you don't believe me, go ahead and play him. Go ahead and play him. If you lose your money, you lose your money. That's on you. But don't blame me if they go out there and ball out, because you don't supposed to listen to me. You're supposed to listen to yourself. This video is just to give you my opinion. You do what you gotta do for your own lineups, but I'm gonna do what I gotta. Anyway, moving on to tight end. I have Zach Ertz from the Philadelphia Eagles versus the Indianapolis Colts. On DraftKings, he's 6,800. On Fanduel, he's 7,000. Now, Zach Ertz caught 11 of 13 passes last week with 94 yards, even though they lost against the Tampa Bay Bucks. Like I said, Carson Wentz is coming back. Yeah, I know everybody out there talking about Carson Wentz first week. He's going to be rusty and this and that, yada, yada, yada. Yeah, he might get rusty. I'm saying maybe the first series. He might maybe even throw an interception the first series. But I feel like the guys play practice. They practice every week. You know, it ain't like he just going in there touching a football for the first time after being out so many weeks from last year to this season, week 3. You know, he obviously been practicing, and that's the reason why the coaches are considering playing him this week and starting him. So I'm expecting that old school connection from last year, Carson Wentz to Ertz, touchdown, maybe even 2. But yeah, I'm gonna definitely put Zach Ertz in my lineups. Another tight end I've been considering, Now that we got news yesterday too, Eric Ebron on the other side of the ball, Indianapolis Colts versus the Philadelphia Eagles. On DraftKings, he's 3,400. On Fanduel, he's 5,500. Jack Doyle was ruled out. He's week to week right now with a hip. And you look at the past 2 weeks, Andrew Luck at least threw 1 touchdown to Eric Ebron. So I'm definitely going to consider putting him in my lineups also. Now back to that game of the week that I speak on, San Francisco 49ers versus the Kansas City Chiefs. We got tight end George Kittle that screwed us over last week, like I said. He's 4,500 on DraftKings and 5,800 on FanDuel. And in my stack for that game, you're gonna see a Kittle right there, George Kittle. Call him Jack. George Kittle. You're gonna see him in my lineups definitely. Stacked with Garoppolo. He only got 2 of 4 targets for 22 yards last Sunday against the Lions. I'm hoping he can at least get 3 times that in a touchdown. I feel like he got the potential to do it. So, yeah, Kittle's good to go this week. Back to the well. Now, moving on to defense. I already talked about how bad the Buffalo Bills are the past 2 weeks. Last week video I told y'all. This week video I told y'all. So you know I'm definitely going to play the Minnesota Vikings. They are 4,300 on DraftKings, 4,900 on FanDuel. Minnesota Vikings defense versus the Bulls all day. I'll take it. You know, they don't even know if LaShawn McCoy going to play tomorrow. He got fractured hips or bruised hips. They don't know what he got. One day he got broken hip. Next day he's fine. And see him questionable all week. And he's limited. You don't know what he's going to do. I got him on one of my fantasy leagues, man. And I've been thinking about dropping him. I'm like, okay, maybe if I drop him, he's going to go out there and score 2 touchdowns and I'm going to be pissed. But McCoy ain't been doing nothing since season started. First week, a dud. Second week, a dud. And they're going to need him tomorrow, but I'm definitely going to play the Minnesota Vikings defense against them. Next, I've got Chicago Bears defense versus the Arizona Cardinals. The stack with my running back, Jordan Howard. Plus, they got Khalil Mack on their squad now. So, they playing like the 1985 Bears down there, man. I mean, their defense is crushing. Did you see what they did to Russell Wilson last week, too? Ooh, they're a cold piece. Cold piece, man. 4,000 on DraftKings, 4,300 on FanDuel. And speaking of Russell Wilson, my very last defense I'm picking is the Dallas Cowboys against Russell Wilson and the Seahawks. 2 reasons why I'm picking Dallas Cowboys defense, even though I don't like them that great. They going against offense in Seattle is not that great. Russell Wilson is. Tyler Lockett is. Rashad Penny, he could be, but they not giving him the ball like I expected. You know, the tight end they got now, he's okay. But I don't feel like even at home, Seattle is going to be able to produce in his game against the Cowboys. Both offenses are struggling. It's going to be a low-scoring game on both sides. And the only way I can see offense, you know, getting out there scoring some points is if both sides aren't running the ball as much and the offense end up punting over and over and both sides of defense get tired. And then maybe both sides put up some points. But I really feel like Dallas Cowboys can go out there and cause a defensive fumble, maybe an interception and a couple sacks. And it's a low-scoring game, so I'll take whatever points I can get when they're only 2,000 on DraftKings and 3,400 on FanDuel. Why not? 2,000 on DraftKings, especially when I can build, you know, get my Michael Thomas, my Mahomes, or whatever, man. I can get a Todd Gurley something, So that's what I have for you guys this week. Let's go right back up to the lineup, to the bottom. We have Patrick Mahomes, Jimmy Garoppolo, Kirk Cousins, all of my quarterbacks. And running back, we have Jordan Howard, Matt Breida, Latavius Murray. Wide receiver, we have Nelson Agholor, Dante Moncrief, Michael Thomas. Tight end, we have Zach Ertz, Eric Ebron, George Kittle. And defense, we have Minnesota Vikings, Chicago Bears, and Dallas Cowboys. So if you guys like what I have right here, you can consider putting them in your lineups. Comment below if you think it's something else I should choose or something I'm not noticing that probably need to be noticed, so I can fix that before I hit that lock button. So holla at me, let me know down below. Make sure you subscribe, like the video, and share. Get that interaction going on. And tomorrow I might, before game lock, I might make a little something, update on the news if it's something big that we might want to change in the lineups. I might put up a video for y'all. But till then, I'm out. Let's get to the green line and just win, baby. Peace.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the 411 Podcast. Now get ready to make that money. And don't forget to follow us on Twitter at the 411 DFS.